The Atlantic Connection is a consortium of stakeholders created in 2005 with the goal of attracting, integrating, and retaining internationally educated health professionals, IEHPs, to the healthcare systems of Atlantic Canada. The integration of IEHPs is not without challenges. Regulatory, institutional, and cultural issues influence opportunities for IEHPs to secure employment in their profession of choice. The result is a triple loss: one for the IEHPs who are unable to use their skills, one for Canadians who are deprived of a means for improving access to expert care, and another for employers struggling with labor shortages. A number of valuable initiatives have been undertaken in the 4 provinces to assist internationally educated health professionals. Atlantic collaboration has led to sharing of much-needed resources and the development of a framework that guides the work, identifies gaps in resources, and monitors progress. The Atlantic Integration Framework provides context and overall vision for the work in Atlantic Canada. Federal, provincial, and territorial colleagues from the departments representing health and wellness have recognized the value of the Atlantic Integration Framework and have adapted it to become the federal planning framework to support IEHPs. The Atlantic Integration Framework parallels the Pan-Canadian Framework for the Assessment and Recognition of Foreign Qualifications, commonly known as the FQR Framework. It encompasses the 4 principles of the FQR Framework: fairness, transparency, timeliness, and consistency, and is visualized as a continuum along a pathway spanning 5 pillars. Each pillar incorporates common themes and key decision points in an IEHP's journey to eventual licensure and integration, and each pillar addresses specific needs of the IEHP before entry into Canada and after immigration. The stages and key decision points along the continuum are fluid and flexible, recognizing that each IEHP and their family have unique settlement needs. Pillar 1, Provision of Comprehensive Information, seeks to provide IEHPs with accurate information about immigration, professional practice, requirements for licensure, and settlement supports before their arrival in Canada, and from the most appropriate source. By providing this information at the earliest stages in the immigration process, we hope to not only attract new IEHPs, but also ensure that those who come to the region will have access to the needed information to make fully informed decisions before they emigrate. In this way, we hope to reduce misconceptions about professional lifestyles and required competencies, thus avoiding disappointment and mitigating the initial stage of culture shock for those arriving in Atlantic Canada. Examples of initiatives that fall under this pillar include the Self-Assessment Readiness Tool, SARTs, which help identify possible pathways to licensure for identified health professions, and links to web pages for credential assessment services, regulatory bodies, and immigration and settlement services. Pillar 2 concerns profession-specific assessment and gap analysis. This pillar addresses the specific professional needs of IEHPs after their arrival in Canada. In particular, knowledge, skills, and competencies of newly immigrated IEHPs need to be assessed in relation to Canadian competency requirements. Initial review of credentials and experience will aid IEHPs in accessing opportunities for profession-specific competence assessment where available. This pillar emphasizes the need for collaboration with regulatory bodies and regional capacity building in the area of profession-specific assessment, with a particular need for clinical practice assessment. Examples of initiatives found under this pillar include the various profession-specific assessment and bridging programs and services already in existence or under development. Pillar 3 addresses education and bridging and the resources needed to fill identified gaps in knowledge, skills, or competencies. It is intended to provide the IEHP with both a plan and gap filling, if required, upon completion of the competency assessment. The goal of Pillar 3 is to support the IEHP in meeting the requirements for registration and licensure, as set forth by the regulatory body. Examples of resources for this pillar include web-based learning modules on orientation to Canadian healthcare, examination preparation courses, language upgrading, career counseling, and identification of possible alternative pathways as required. Pillar 4, Professional Workplace Integration, addresses the integration of the IEHPs to the workplace after certification and licensure. Even after obtaining a license to practice in a desired field, IEHPs need assistance and advice in seeking out appropriate employment and career progression. Some will require resources to continue to improve communication and profession-specific language skills, while others may need assistance adapting to the culture of their new workplace. Employers of IEHPs need assistance with enhancing cultural competency and devising specific orientation programs for the IEHPs. The fundamental goals of Pillar 4 are to increase the professional confidence of IEHPs and increase the cultural competence skills of employers and coworkers. Examples of resources in this category include cultural competence training programs and guides, mentorship models and orientation to the workplace models and guides. Pillar 5, Community Integration, addresses the retention of the IEHP and their family to Atlantic Canada. Research in Atlantic Canada has demonstrated that the success of retaining the IEHP is very dependent on the successful integration of the IEHPs and their family to the community. Timely and appropriate support is key to successful integration. Capacity building needs to take place to support communities and settlement organizations. In their work with IEHPs, examples of some initiatives include the Community Integration Toolkit for Atlantic Canadian Communities, regional stakeholder forums, mentorship programs, and community engagement activities in Newfoundland and PEI. The IEHP Atlantic Connections framework for attracting, integrating, and retaining professionals is ambitious. It provides an organized way of discussing what needs to be done if we are to attract immigrants who are able to help meet labor needs. Ultimately, the framework, its foundational principles, and the 5 pillars of its pathway to integration provide a systematic and regional working plan that remains fluid and flexible. The Atlantic Integration Framework will continue to provide the 4 Atlantic provinces with a systematic, coordinated, and collaborative approach for addressing the many needs of the IEHP as they realize their goal of becoming members of Atlantic Canada healthcare workplaces and local communities.